Happy holidays, gang. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, obviously enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Thursday, December 4th, 2025. This is live show 1264. If you're not overly familiar with this stream, let me point out it's super casual. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then normally I will take a first look at a game. More often than not, it is a role-playing game release. Once in a while, we'll dive on in for a board game unboxing, or I'll tackle a topic related to the hobby, or maybe even just do an AMA. But tonight, we're going to take a peek at a role-playing game. We're going to dive on in and check out Pirates of a Shattered World from the Polyhedral Knights. So yes, that is what we're going to be doing tonight. So stay tuned. This is kind of a mashup of fantasy, science fiction, post-apocalyptic, and pirates, obviously. So we'll see how that gets pulled off in just a bit. If you are tuning in for the first look at Pirates of a Shattered World, keep in mind we always tackle the news first around here, so it's probably going to be about 35, maybe 40 minutes before we get on into that first look. So if you're watching live, kick back, relax, put your feet up, enjoy yourself. Now, if you happen to be watching 30 minutes or more after this stream has ended, there will be timestamps. So if you want to just jump past the tabletop role-playing game news of the day, you certainly can. And depending on the device you might be using, those timestamps might be right there in a timeline of the video in front of you. Once again, like I said, it depends on what device you might happen to be using. Now, of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you are not going to find here on YouTube. Come on, by now you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And of course, because this is a live show, there is chat available. Now, you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 60 minutes before you can take part. But if you can check that box off and you've been a subscriber for at least an hour and you want to say howdy, maybe get a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my very best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Mike. Semper Buffo is with us, as is Kevin R. Smith, Captain Infinity, Time Travel Police. Pete Strakulich is also in the house. And I would think, very possibly, the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D might be lurking in the shadows as one of our chat moderators. She have the glittery banhammer, so watch out. Watch out. I thought Pete Strakulich was going to send me an email. It's no big deal. I mean, if you want to touch base regarding the purple planet, that is very cool. If not, that's fine too. But I'm just kind of giving PD a little hard time. All right, so let's jump on into the news, because now in its final week over on Kickstarter is Dark Places and Demogorgons for 5e from Bloat Games. I've got the skinny. In the 1980s, strange things happened everywhere. Bloat Games proudly presents Dark Places and Demogorgons for 5e. Dark Places and Demogorgons is a horror tabletop role-playing game set in the 1980s, where you play as teenagers from a small town where strange occurrences begin popping up all around. The adults are too busy to care, and the police don't believe you. It's up to you and your friends to figure out what's going on and stop it from happening again. You know, this reminds me of something. I don't know. I just can't put my finger on the thing or things. So as far as your playable classes, you've got the break dancer, extreme athlete, which obviously is me, not final girl, geek, goth, hood. Yeah, that's probably closer to me. Horror connoisseur, jock, karate kid, kid scientist, metalhead, most excellent dude, or dudette. I used to use that term all the time, dudette. Nerd, party animal, performer, preppy, princess, punk rocker, Snoop, dog. Now it's just Snoop. Mystic, which is an optional class, and Scion, also an optional class, obviously because they have like magical abilities or psionic abilities. The game master in DP&D, that sounds a little dirty there, I think. I don't know. I'll let your imaginations run wild with that. The game master takes on the role of the townsfolk, the monsters, and the setting itself. The GM will decide the adventure while allowing players to make their own choices and will react accordingly to those choices. There are some monster adventure seeds of note, such as the Pope Lick Monster. Did the monster lick the Pope? The Phantom Fairlane, Terra the Clawed Menace, alien life form, son of the Mothman. Would that make it Moth Boy? The Killer of Your Dreams, Heckles the Clown, Cyborg Slaughter Machine, Dolly the Doll Maker, Gremlins, and many more. There is a short Kickstarter video. Sadly, the audio would set up a copyright flag, so I am muting it. I'll kind of talk over it a little bit. But I wanted to share the video because it's going to show a lot more of the artwork from Dark Places and Demogorgons. So let's take a peek. No. It was kind of funny because I always upload these videos first to YouTube so I can see if there's any sort of copyright flag. And they have an option where you can actually strip the music out. Now, there's no voiceover for this. It was just music. So I was like, okay, well, I'll try that option. And then it came back and it was just like the beat, which was really weird. I almost left it in, but I thought, it doesn't sound exactly right. So I guess I better not. So that is that. But as you can see, this has really, really nice line art. And I want to say, I think it's Chris Lundgren who hangs out and chat with us, who is a big fan of Bloat Games. And I think they're actually a big fan of Dark Places and Demogorgons. Yes. All right, come on. There we go. I was like, the video's wrapped up. Oh, we can move back to the images. Kevin R. Smith says, this is great marketing for Bloat Games coming on the heels of the new Stranger Things 5e box. Yes, which we took a peek at. And of course, the Stranger Things final season. Weirdly enough, I would have thought that maybe this would have been a little more successful if it had started its Kickstarter run a few months ago. And this is why I'm going to point this out. So the Kickstarter is 100% funded. Don't get me wrong. And it does look really interesting. In fact, Bloat Games is pretty well known for having some cool, old school inspired role-playing games. And I know the OSR version of Dark Places and Demogorgons has done really well. And there's a lot of content out there for it. So the Kickstarter is just over 100% funded. You can reserve a copy of the hardcover for a $69 pledge. There is an option if you want the PDF and a print-on-demand coupon from Drive-Thru RPG. Or you can grab just the PDF for a $19 pledge. This is through December 19th. Expected fulfillment is October of 2026. That's why I would have thought that maybe this would have crowdfunded earlier. But yeah, maybe it just wasn't ready. I'm guessing that a lot of the artwork is going to carry over from the previous edition, the like OSR version. Kevin R. Smith says, true, right now it's barely funded. It'd be nice to give them a little more love if you can afford it. One of the reasons why I'm actually sharing the news, and there will be an article on thegaminggang.com first thing in the AM, because yeah, I was surprised myself that it's just over the 100% funding mark. Now, I don't know how long this ran, so it's possible this was maybe only a 10-day Kickstarter. I can't tell you. But I can tell you it ends on December 9th. So there is that. Kevin R. Smith said this is actually the third version of DP&D. The other two are Survive This and OSE. Yeah, Survive This isn't Survive This kind of an, trying to think. I know it's an OSR. So would it not be BX? Because to me, the old school essentials edition of this, that would be, the BX. I don't know. So as Kevin R. Smith said, very strange or even stranger things. And yes, Sarah D is hanging with us tonight. Good to see you, Sarah. All right, let's move on to our next news piece, because returning to retail from Ninth Level Games is the second edition of Rebel Scum. Here's the lowdown. An anti-fascist space opera. Rebel Scum tells a story of how scrappy anti-fascist heroes can fight back against a government with unlimited power, including giant lasers and space magic. Inspired by a love for a certain line of 3 and 3¼ inch action figures, this tabletop role-playing game invites you to imagine cinematic space drama of your very own. Create your own character, grab a pre-generated character, and dive into the action fast. Spend stars to take dramatic action mid-scene, and keep an eye on the danger level, which will increase as the game goes on. Everything is about creating movie-like space opera drama with the players at the center of this exciting revolutionary tale. This updated second edition includes all new art, 3 episode examples, expanded rules and clarifications, corrections and edits made from the first edition, and I want to say, I think the 3 episode examples are actually adventures. This 74-page softcover with PDF carries an MSRP of $19.99. Of course, that's if you happen to order from Ninth Level Games. You can score just the PDF for $14.99. Good to see this is back out. I think it had sold out. It was out of print for a while. And yes, oh, there you go. Kevin R. Smith jumped into it. Is this the game whose creators got it banned from Drive-Thru RPG for publicity? Well, it is banned on Drive-Thru RPG. So yes, this is the game. Yeah, this is the one. The Madman is joining us. Says, hey, gang, Christmas decorations delayed them a bit. Happy Friday Eve. Welcome aboard, Madman. Yeah, I have no issue with a role-playing game that likes to claim itself to be anti-fascist. I am all for that. So, yes, because, that's what we used to stand up against. I'm just saying. I know now somebody's going to be like, Jeff got all political again for the 11th time in 1,200 shows. Yeah. But this does look pretty cool. And it's built on the, what is it? Polymorph? Isn't that the system? The polymorph system? Where it, yeah, there we go. It's right on the cover. The polymorph system where all you use is a single die specifically for your character. So you might have a 10-sided die. You might have a 4-sided die. You might have a 6-sided die. All depends on what your character is and what their role is. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. I definitely dug Mazes. I've reviewed Mazes, which utilizes the polymorph system. And it is more of an old school vibe. So it's kind of sword and sorcery with the polymorph system. And I got to say, I thought 9th Level Games did a great job on that. All right. So this week we've talked about the Shadowrun 5e Essentials as well as Universe bundles. So I guess now it's time for us to discuss the deets on the Missions bundle from Catalyst Game Labs and Bundle of Holding. Hoy, runner! This revived June 2024 SR5 Missions Mega Bundle is the third of 3 offers in progress featuring the 2013 5th edition of Shadowrun, the cyberpunk fantasy tabletop role-playing game from Catalyst Game Labs. If you're new to the game, start with the revived February 2019 SR5 Essentials Bundle. And of course, if you like the 6th World location, there are also supplements in the new SR5 Universe Mega Bundle. Then, of course, finish up with this revived Missions Mega Bundle with many SR5 scenarios and campaign source books. For just $14.95, you'll get all 7 complete missions in this revived offers starter collection, which has a retail value of $77 as DRM-free PDFs, including 3 standalone scenarios that explore the 6th world. The introductory adventure, Splintered State, Lethal Forces, and Toxic Alleys, and 4 anthologies of adventures originally designed to be run at conventions: Boundless Mercy, Firing Line, London Falling, London Calling. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's calling, not falling. And Sprawl Wilds. And if you pay more than the current threshold price of $30.27, at least that's what it was earlier this afternoon, you'll level up and also get this Revival's entire bonus collection with 8 more source books and scenarios worth an additional $159, including all 5 campaign books that chronicle the CFD, Cognitive Fragmentation Disorder megaplots, Stolen Souls, Lockdown, Dark Terrors, Bloody Business, and Market Panic, and all 3 adventures in the Denver trilogy, Serrated Edge, False Flag, and Ripping Reality. These savings will run through December 29th, as do the other 2 bundles on offer as well. Sweet. So all in all, what is it about? I'd say it's probably about $93 if you get all 3 bundles. You're going to get a whole truckload of Shadowrun stuff. In fact, I think, MSRP wise, PDF wise, we're probably looking at $700-800, at least according to, Bundle of Holding. I didn't go sit there and bust out the calculator and tally everything up, but it's probably in the ballpark, $700-800 worth of PDFs for about $92, $93. Pretty sweet. Kathy Evans and Wallona's Cave, as well as Tessie Trekkie, are all popping on in. Wallona's Cave says, to be honest, never read or played Shadowrun. What's it about, and what's the system? It has been so long since I delved into Shadowrun. I did review the starter set for the 6th edition, which was a mess. I mean, it was just a complete mess. And if I remember correctly, isn't it a dice pool? I think it's a dice pool system. I know it's 6-sided dice. I remember 6-sided dice. And here's the real selling point to Shadowrun is the storyline, the setup. So there you go. Kevin R. Smith points out Cyberpunk plus fantasy / magic D6 dice pool. So it originally comes out. It's from FASA, which was an excellent company. And tons of splats. In fact, this was one of those role-playing games when the first, say, 3 years that it was out, really had a just fantastic amount of support. And it was one of these games which was like Vampire the Masquerade, where it kind of got a reputation that people disliked it because there was so much content out there for it. It was pushing other role-playing games off of the shelves. So Kevin R. Smith points out Shadowrun has long been said to be a great setting in search of a decent system. You know what I think would probably work well? Because you're already looking at a D6 die pool. Year Zero engine. Coco B is with us, says they played some 5th edition Shadowrun. Layout was terrible. Yeah, that was one of the problems with the starter set for the 6th edition. That and for one, okay, now I'm trying to remember because it's been quite a while. It's got to be at least 4 years since I reviewed that. But it was not logically laid out, which, you know, funny enough, as much as I really like Cyberpunk Red, I like it a lot. I think there's more originality packed into the Cyberpunk Red releases from Artel Saurian Games in one source book than you might find in an entire line of a role-playing game. It's that good. But it's also kind of a mess as far as the layout and tracking things down because it's not laid out logically. It's sort of like, I have actually heard from people who have told me that they've taken the PDF for not Shadowrun, for Cyberpunk Red, and they've actually tore it apart and pasted it together to make a new book. You know, using Photoshop or, you know, what have you, Publisher, Illustrator, whatever they were using. Wallona's Cave said that's what they felt with the Witcher RPG. Yes, I agree with you on that as well. Funny, and you know what? I really dig Artel Saurian Games. I think it's good people, good company. The Witcher was kind of the same thing. It was like, who put this together? Who did this layout? It's not intuitive. But still, The Witcher's a decent role-playing game. So anyway, so there you go. So that is Shadowrun. If you want to get your hands on a lot of stuff on the cheap for the prior edition of Shadowrun, you could certainly do that. Tessie Treggy says, oh God, 6th edition Shadowrun was a fucking mess in layout and rules. Yeah. Kevin R. Smith said they played in a small campaign of 4th edition Shadowrun. It wasn't bad. The character creation was complicated. I think it was about 2nd edition when I waved goodbye to Shadowrun, because it was another one of those games where it was like, oh my God, every time I turn around, there's a splat book. And, back in the day, we've talked about this before. I would buy all these role-playing games just to read them. Never ran them because I was too busy running Call of Cthulhu, because that's what my gang wanted to play. All right. Moving on to our next news piece now in stores from Mongoose Publishing is Traveler Reach Adventure number 9, The Hell World Heists. Here's the scoop. The Senless Foederate is a despotic polity of inhospitable worlds in the backwater of the Trojan Reach, and the travelers will play a pivotal role in a desperate gambit to change the fate of the Foederate forever. Fighting alongside a rebellion, the travelers find themselves in a series of heists, from robbing a grav rail to rescuing rebels from a base on Megan. I was going to say rescuing rebels from Yavin, but because I was going to be a smart ass, then I can't even pronounce base correctly. Then assaulting a prison convoy, accessing a vault, and finally helping their patron in a coup against the government regime. Throughout this adventure, the travelers can enact real change throughout the Federation. However, their profits hang in the balance, as do the lives of millions. The Hell World Heist includes new ships, vehicles, and construction robots, animal and sophiant encounters throughout the despotic Senless Foederate, 5 different heists for the travelers to play through as well. The 58-page softcover with PDF carries an MSRP of $19.99. Of course, to get the PDF, I do believe you have to order from Mongoose Publishing. If you want to grab just the PDF alone, you can do so over at Drive-Thru RPG. Normally, it's $11.99. And right now, there is still like Cyber Monday pricing on a lot of stuff, including this. I don't know if today's the last day or if tomorrow's the last day. It might be today. But I did notice that this does have a sale price of $8.99. So this is Reach Adventure number 9. Wow. An interesting aspect of the Traveler Adventures from Mongoose Publishing that I find is that they don't just focus on one campaign. There are multiple campaigns going on that Mongoose will release adventures for. But what seems to be the case, and let's be honest here, I haven't had an opportunity to see a lot of Traveler stuff from Mongoose Publishing, but it does seem as if the adventures are self-contained. So they normally are campaigns that are taking place in a specific area. Not necessarily, this is the first chapter, second chapter. You got to, can't play the third adventure until you've played the first 2. That's normally not the case. Now, of course, we do have the invasion campaign for 2300 AD. And I think that is something that you do have to go in order with. But I always thought that was kind of interesting that you'll see, oh, okay, it's Reach Adventure 5. And then the next adventure that comes out is the Naval Campaign Adventure 3. And it's like, oh, okay. Kind of interesting. Most companies would not approach it that way. I will tell you that for certain. All right, final news piece. Dragonix's Deadly Denizens Volume 3 is now available in PDF from, well, you guess it, Dragonix Books. Here's what I know. This bestiary expands upon the first with even more creatures drawn from the depths of folklore, mythology, and the vast imagination of fantasy. From mighty monstrosities to cunning creatures. Oh, I've got a cunning creature, me lord. That dwell in shadow. Volume 3 is filled with terrifying and awe-inspiring entities designed to push your campaigns to new heights. Each entry is crafted to integrate smoothly into 5th edition, ensuring a seamless experience for any game master looking to spice up their encounters. This third volume features over 270 pages and contains well over 300 monster stat blocks. There are dozens of new monsters and several new creature templates. Scores of incredible commission artwork that will represent each creature or template, and there is no AI art. Nearly every creature will have a low, mid, and high level stat block, and most high level stat blocks will also have layer and legendary actions. This 291-page PDF is available right now over at DriveThruRPG for $29.99. The hardcover, as well as the Roll20 conversion, are expected probably in April. I have to say, I am not familiar with Dragonix Books, but taking a peek at this bestiary, this looks pretty impressive. And I know Dragonix Books has other 5e books out there. This isn't, their first rodeo. And I think they do more than just bestiaries as well. But yeah, I got to say, pretty cool artwork. Pretty nice looking artwork. And like the first entry we see after the cover is actually the creature that's on the cover. I thought that was nice of them to share that with us. Sweet. All right. That is it for the news tonight. Of course, I mentioned DriveThruRPG a few times. Don't forget, Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, any of the multitude of websites from One Bookshelf, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And those commissions go a long, long way to keeping thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you happen to like the video, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. If you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, there are a couple of other ways that you can help support the outlet. First, by making a one-time donation by way of PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. That's good. Or you can become a monthly member of our Patreon. And on the live shows, I'll always like to give a shout out to our Patreon members. So a big thank you to Adrian Carpio, Gustavo Cavalho, Herman Lutman, Jason Lawman, Kuval, Kevin R. Smith, Sean O'Donnell, Talzek, Dan Webb, GameCat, Kevin King, Pete Strakulich, RPG Munch, Tessie Trekkie, Tier 2 DM, Agile Monk, and the Madman. Thank you kindly, everyone. It is much appreciated. So we're going to be diving on in and taking a look at Pirates of a Shattered World from the Polyhedral Knights in just a few moments. But first, I wanted to mention a couple of things. Tomorrow, the holiday used game sale is going to open to people who are members of our Patreon. All right, I should take that back. It's already open for members of our Patreon. It's going to be open for the members to our Discord server. So that's going to be tomorrow night. And I am going to post in the announcements a link to the game sale with the password to be able to get into that page. And you'll have a week of exclusivity along with the Patreon members. So that is my way of saying, hey, thanks for being on our Discord server. I mean, we got 130 members, something like. So, I mean, it's not insane. But still, I thought, And then a week from tomorrow, I'll open up the sale to everybody for 2 weeks, and that'll be it. And there's quite a bit there. I'm going to add a few more items. I'm hoping I can do that tomorrow, but I got a bunch of stuff to do. So I don't know if I'll be able to update some new stuff in there. But I will mention, if you are interested in Pathfinder 2nd Edition Adventures, you might want to take a peek. So there's that. Other thing I want to mention, I was kind of salty today. I'm still a little bit salty. And I'm actually considering next Tuesday's show actually doing a topic. I haven't decided if I want to or not. But I got to be honest. There are far too many negative people involved in our hobby, either playing games or promoting themselves, whatever. And there is just way too much rudeness. Now, I don't know if it's, I don't want to go off on a complete tangent here, but I'll give you a great example. So I shared the first look video at a very civil whist, and I was doing a wargaming week, right? So I opened it up with this, and then I did a review of Untamed Worlds, which is a role-playing game, but it's a military science fiction role-playing game whose rules really seem like they were designed for minis rather than a role-playing game, but it's neither here nor there. And then I was going to shoot some more videos. So anyway, so I tend to put videos up on like Board Game Geek and RPG Geek, especially like role-playing games. But, sometimes role-playing game publishers don't bother putting stuff up on there because they just don't think of it. If you're a board game publisher, then damn well you got to make sure your game is on Board Game Geek. Well, RPG Geek's not that same sort of destination for role-playing GMs and players. But still, I'll post them up there. So I posted the first look video for a very civil whist and get a comment. And the comment is, I'm going to paraphrase it. I prefer my videos where the host knows more about the game than I do. This video was a waste of time. I'm sharing this video. It was something like, I'm sharing this comment, and I mean this in the kindest way. Like, yeah, okay. Don't give me that bullshit. You can go bathe in your passive aggressive nonsense all you want. But it was like, I mean this in the kindest way so that you can lift your game, pun intended, as far as your videos. And it's like, okay, so it's a first look video. What were you expecting? And you know what? And we get this all the time now. I'll share a first look video and I'll get comments where it's like, oh, what a waste of time. That was an awful review. It's not a review. It's a first look video. And I have been hearing from people, I've been getting emails from people over about the last 3-4 months telling me how they're considering leaving the hobby. Or at least leaving the public face of the hobby. That they're not going to bother watching people's videos. They're not going to bother reading people's reviews. They're not going to engage with other people online in the hobby because there is just so much trash out there. And it's kind of funny too, because I'll sit there and I'll think to myself that, I do not fool myself into thinking that a bunch of people out there care what my opinion is. I really don't. But in turn, that also means that nobody gives a shit about their opinion. So that's why it's just like I'll get comments from people, and if they get super rude, I'll just block them. I'll delete the comment and block them. If it's just somebody whinging, whatever, I'll leave it. And then I'll usually comment back. But it's sort of like, oh, your opinion stinks. You're stupid. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, so where are your credentials? Why are you some expert on this? Right? Why are you telling me how wrong I am? But then of course they don't back it up. They just tell you how, you're stupid and you don't know what you're talking about and blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, okay. So it's like, all righty. Kevin R. Smith says, if they want the host to know more about the game than they do, why do they click on the video labeled first look? I know. I think it's also part of it is people are just stupid. I'm sorry. People are getting stupider. And it is a willful ignorance that people have. There are some people out there who, they take pride in not knowing anything. It's like, okay, all right. House of Toa is with us. Might be a first-time visit. Welcome aboard. W. Forge is also hanging with the gang. Kevin R. Smith says the same phenomenon happened with RPG forums in the 2000s. Difference is now people are trying to make money or even a living out of venues like YouTube. I think I had a couple of people mention, I think it was 2 emails talking about how it seems like the popular role-playing game outlets are like just bitch fests, or they're just about negativity. And, especially like, Wizards of the Coast sucks, Dungeons and Dragons sucks, Pathfinder sucks, Paizo's woke, that kind of stuff. And that's just not how I operate. That's just never how I've operated. Now, I've always shot straight with people. So when somebody runs into me at a convention and they're talking to me, they find out very quickly, this is me. This is how I am. I'm actually probably far more reserved in front of the camera than I am in person. But I've always looked at it, it's my responsibility to kind of be an ambassador for the hobby. I love this hobby. I enjoy board games. I enjoy role-playing games to no end. I am not the sort of person who wants to keep people out of the hobby. So, are there negative aspects? Of course there are. Is Dungeons and Dragons a perfect game? No. Is Wizards of the Coast or Paizo Inc. perfect companies? No, they aren't. But is it something that, that's all I'm going to do is harp on the problems that they have or the disagreement I might have as far as the direction that they might take Dungeons and Dragons, especially, or maybe Pathfinder, Traveler, Call of Cthulhu, or anything. I don't think it really serves a purpose. Now, once again, it doesn't mean that we can't discuss these things, that it doesn't pop up as a topic during our random musings here before we jump into our first look. But that's not what I'm about, and that's not what the gaming gang is all about. And it seems to me these days, if you want traffic, if you want an audience on YouTube, it's got to be negative. It's got to be negative. And it's like, or you got to have clickbait. You got to trick people into watching your videos, you know, you gotta make sure that you title stuff like, "This is finally the end for Wizards of the Coast," and people are like, "Whoa, what are they talking about?" And then, of course, obviously enough, the video just spins its wheels for 10 minutes, and it's like, "Ha ha! Thanks for clicking on." House of Toa says they lurk and catch the videos when they can. Happy to be here. Very nice. Very cool. So anyway, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought this was a hobby that, you know, we invest our time and energy and money into because we enjoy it and we enjoy the camaraderie and the company that this brings, even if you're only playing with your family or maybe friends. Maybe that's not the case anymore. I just don't know. Desi Trekkie says, I appreciate you not being Diversity in Dragons or Black Lodge Games. I don't know who Black Lodge Games is. I have no idea. I know who Diversity in Dragons is. If you watch the stream, you know I know. Like, whatever. There's a reason why the guy wears sunglasses. So anyway. But, yeah, but that seems to be the thing now. That, you know, it's either clickbait, tricking people into watching your videos, and you might trick them a couple of times, but you're probably not going to get tons of people watching all the time if every time you have a title to a video, it's all bullshit. Or people who just want to sit there and whinge and complain and bitch and moan. It's like, okay, all right. It's like, you know, I can, you know, critique things, but it's not like I'm sitting there like, oh, yes, I am here upon my high horse looking down upon everything. No. Sassy Trekkie says Black Lodge is nice and cozy with diversity. Well, whatever. I mean, you know, I don't have an opportunity to watch various different outlets who are far more positive. So you know damn well I'm not wasting any time watching those outlets. But anyway, yeah, I'm just mentioning, you know, there just seems to be more and more negativity in our hobby. There's more now than I think I've ever seen in my entire lifetime. And I've been playing games since 76, 77. I mean, I was a little kid, but, you know, I was like 9, 10 years old. Well, 77, I would have been 10 years old in the fall. But, you know, some of the lighter weight Avalon Hill stuff early on. But yeah, I know we've always had the, D&D sucks. Oh, you know, I get it, you know. Or it's like, oh no, RuneQuest, it's RuneQuest. And then D&D fans are like, RuneQuest sucks. Oh no, it's Chivalry and Sorcery. I understand that. There is no problem with that. We've always had that, my game is great, your game sucks. That's not that big a deal. It's my game's great, I'm great, you suck. Getting far too much of that. All right, anyway, so we're diving on in. We're taking a peek at Pirates of a Shattered World from the Polyhedral Knights in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for...
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
The weather is right for racing reindeer and rose-red toddlers on snow-white ice. The time is right for colored lights to warm the heart, for glowing candles, ribbons and bows. Christmas is here again, and silver trees are blossoming with gifts. the season's greetings to all our friends. And we pray that the season of peace and goodwill may reach out to all the seasons of the year.
This evening, ladies and gentlemen, with the Christmas holidays so close, I thought that
Mr. Swayze, Mr. Swayze. I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Swayze, but I'm in an awful hurry and I need your help.
Well, who are you?
I'm Santa's #1 helper, and I just came down from the North Pole.
Well, little fellow, what can I do for you?
Oh, we have such a problem, Mr. Swayze. We've gotten so many letters from people wanting Timex watches for Christmas, and we just don't know if there are Timex watches for all the different kinds of people who want them.
I'm sure there are. How do you like this?
Merry Christmas, Fozzie.
Oh, boy! What is it?
It's a birdhouse.
It's a one-step, Fuzzy.
Take a picture.
How?
Just point it and press the button. That's gotta be over his head.
Pointed at what? At us. Ah, now what?
It is over his head. Press the button.
Hey, this is easy. I'm beautiful. Take more.
You see one-step pictures along with the presents, and there's no simpler camera.
No simpler bear.
Polaroid means fun. With a one-step.
In Grandmother's house, the tree was always decorated with wonderful things to eat, remember? Like chestnuts and cranberries and every kind of fruit. But with my children around and helping, well, I can't expect it to stay on the tree very long. In fact, I think I'll steal a lemon myself. Have you ever tried Coca-Cola with a squeeze of lemon or lime? You know, it's true that things go better with Coke. Everyone loves that refreshing new feeling you get only from Coca-Cola. You see, Coke's a natural. Its wholesome blending of pure food flavors provides a bit of quick energy. And Coke is not too sweet. I like this economical family-size bottle. Perfect for guests or at the dinner table. Uh-oh. It looks like my helpers have been helping themselves. Well, I'd better go check the Coke.
What happened if it isn't Philo Vance? I beg your pardon? Who said that? I haven't seen you since you solved the Kettle murder case. How are you? Well, for the love of... Nick Charles, what are you doing up there? Impersonating a book cover? Shh. I'm working on a case. Don't tell me you've gone back to detective work. I thought you had turned respectable. Didn't you get married? Oh, didn't I? Vance, I married a girl in a million. I heard it was a girl with $1 million. Well, same thing. I've become a California gentleman. I never heard of such a thing. What are you doing here in New York? Well, it seems that Clark Gable is making some personal appearances here, which interests my wife. And there's a very good bar at the Ritz, which is all right with me. So we popped into town to play. But would you believe it? Before you could say Metro Goldwyn Mayer, I stepped right into the middle of a baffling murder mystery, and they put me to work. Well, you poor fellow, you have my deepest sympathy. I can use it. Believe me, Vance, this case is a toughie. It all revolves about a tall, thin man. I was standing at the bar of the Ritz one day, reaching for an olive, when a very pretty girl suddenly popped up in front of me and said,
Hello there.
Hello. Another glass. How are you?
You know, we do know each other.
Certainly, we've known each other for years.
Aren't you Nick Charles?
Huh?
You don't remember me? I'm Dorothy Wynant.
How is your father?
Oh, that's what I came to ask you. He's disappeared. Chris, what are you going to do?
That's what I said I'd do.
Chris, you wouldn't do that.
Nicky. Automatically.
Nicky, put Asta in here with me tonight.
Oh, yeah?
That knife's missing. I'll look for it in your back.
It's about Julia Wolfe.
Did you kill her?
Gilbert!
Oh, why not? You had a perfectly good motive.
How'd you like to have a couple of little murderers for your children?
And maybe I haven't been on a merry-go-round since that day. Are you, anywhere near a solution? Between you and me, I think so. I got all the suspects together at a dinner party. And then I pulled a fast one. I told them, and the murderer is right here in this room tonight. He's sitting here at this table. Are you sure that the murderer is one of that group? Not absolutely. But I know where to find out. Where? Right in there. Now, you watch me. I'm going to dissolve slowly into this book. If you'll stand by, I'll give you the answer.
A movie in black and white. Oh, I refuse to watch that. If you have not seen The Thin Man, I highly recommend check out The Thin Man. It's a good mystery, and it is still funnier than hell. So, because they're a couple of drunks. Nick and Nora are a couple of drunks. They're always liquored up. So, yeah, and a lot of people don't realize The Thin Man actually takes place at Christmas time. That's why I threw that on in there, because good luck trying to find a Christmas movie trailer that's not going to set off the copyright flag. All right, so tonight we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a first look at Pirates of a Shattered World from the Polyhedral Knights. This hardcover is available now. It carries an MSRP of $47.99. I do not believe this is available in PDF, just so you know. So let's swing on over to the other camera. Kathy Evans says, it is a great movie. Yes. Thin Man, absolute classic. All right. So, a couple of things to mention before we get stuck in. First of all, the fine folks over at Polyhedral Knights were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's important you know that. Remember, keep in mind, it's a first look. I have not looked at this. So somebody out there probably knows way more about this than I do. Live with it. Second thing to mention, we're not going to look at each and every page of the book, but I do want to give you a really good feel of what you're going to find inside. All right, let's take a peek at the back here. Renard knew he was screwed, left holding the bag, literally. Yesterday, he was told by his captain he would be with a thieving party that would stick it to those elven bastards. He was told the job was easy. Should have known better. Anytime someone goes out of their way to tell you it's easy, 9 times out of 10, it isn't. Now he was the only one alive out of the thieving party. First thing was first, Renard had to escape the face-off against 4 Illyrian guards. The elves, as most people call them, are a cold bunch of bastards. Both sides stared at each other, measuring each of their worth and potential skill. The Illyrians quietly talked among themselves, almost cautious in case he understood them. Renard had no idea what the pointy-eared bastards were saying. A lot of use of the word bastard here. Each side's knuckle became white, should be knuckles, became white as they tightened their grips on their swords. With his cutlass in his primary hand and a loaded pipe pistol in the other, Renard yelled with as much fury as he could muster, fired his pistol at the biggest one, and charged the group. Sparky 5960 is with us in chat. Welcome aboard. Might be a first-time visit. Might be someone that we're used to seeing all the time that YouTube has just changed their nickname on us. Don't know. But regardless, welcome. Pirates of a Shattered World is a unique mix of many things. Part fantasy, part post-apocalypse, part sci-fi, part pirate adventure. It offers a great blend of each of these things. This is the newest release from the Polyhedral Knights, is a unique twist on the post-apocalyptic fantasy genre. Taking place in the Fractured Sea, an archipelago filled with monsters and wreckage from the second apocalypse. It puts PCs in the roles of explorers, swashbucklers, science mages, and brigands in a world of gunpowder, sorcery, altered beasts, and haunted ruins beneath the waves. Gameplay in Pirates is fast and pulpy. Build your characters using archetypes like sailor, mystic, science mage, or courtier, among others, and races like iguana hybrid, hobgoblin, mutant, and Illyrian. Then dig into the mechanics with a host of attributes, skills, talents, combat techniques, and spells to flesh them out how you want. Welcome to the Fractured Seas. All right. First thing we will do is take a peek at the credits page. So a lot of folks worked on this to bring this to life. So it is written by Mikey Barfield. Here it says John M. Barfield. I believe that's who I had chatted with at GameholeCon, which is when I got this review copy. And super nice guy. So we got our forward. And let's jump on in. So chapter 1 is the Shattered World. So it's going to give us kind of our background of the game world. Chapter 2, basic game mechanics. If I remember correctly, I think this is percentile dice based. Character creation, archetypes, orders and guilds, mutant abilities, combat techniques, animal companions and familiars. We get into equipment, ships of the seas, combat. So you might have some crunch here in combat. Adversaries and game mastering. I think that's how we'll wrap up. Yes. So with the Shattered World, it is the distant future and most of the earth is underwater. Mankind has changed, as has civilization. The second apocalypse is long forgotten, and in its ashes, society has been reborn anew. Humanity is no longer just human. A variety of intelligent species live side by side. Most nations are now feudal kingdoms. Tides have risen and the landscape has changed, and so most habitable territory is made up of island chains on a mostly tropical sea. Royal galleons cut through these waters, bringing trade and warfare to the mapped places of this new world, where pirates ply the spaces in between. All right. Do want to mention, no AI was used in this book. Now, as an example here, that artwork, you might think, oh, is that AI? Because I had actually asked Mikey, I guess I should say, when I was taking a peek at this, and then there's another role-playing game that we're going to take a peek at probably in a couple of weeks from the Polyhedral Knights. And the cover of that book really looked like it might be AI. And I said, no, it was an artist that he utilized who did digital artwork. And then I guess that person started segueing into more AI related stuff. And he's like, well, that's when he stopped hiring him. So we've got Jen Kokoza with us. Welcome aboard. Once again, might be a first time visitor. So welcome, make yourself comfortable. Or then again, like I said, could be someone who hangs out all the time and YouTube has just changed their nickname. So we got the powers of Fractured Sea. So you got the Illyrian Empire, who are supposed to be, I guess, the elves, the Ruseks, the Vek. Those are goblins and hobgoblins. Brotherhood of the Sail. I take a guess they're here. They're going to be humans. Blasted Wasteland, the Spider Kingdom. So we've got the gods. So we get into the Fractured Seas. I gotta say, the artwork's pretty cool. I mean, it's mixed. It's not very uniform so far, but I mean, that's fine. Pirates of a Shattered World is a tabletop role-playing game. To play, you need some pencils, dice, a few friends. Well, damn it, that leaves me out. And your imagination. Well, that leaves other people out. This book provides you with some rules, and together you and your friends can use them to tell a story. All right. What is the basic game mechanic? You'll need a set of polyhedral dice in order to play the game. So you need a D20, D12, D10, D8, D6, D4. Also, maybe this is a D20 roll under? All right, so we've got our attributes. Oh, no, it's going to be a D20 because now we've got target numbers. Yeah, for some strange reason, I thought this was a D100 system, but I am wrong. So let's see. Hit points and energy. So energy is a measure of intangible force that a character uses to fuel their magical abilities. We have skills, spells. So skill test. To make a skill test, the player in question rolls their most appropriate skills dice and adds the most appropriate attributes bonus to the highest individual die they rolled. Oh, there we go. All right, so it's not a D20. It says this means if someone has 3d6 in a skill and they roll a 1, 3, and a 5 on their dice, they ignore the 1 and the 3. They take the 5 to add to their appropriate attribute and must exceed the target number given by the GM. Near our target numbers as far as our difficulty. So we have opposition rolls, stacking, critical successes. When at least 2 of your dice roll their highest number and you surpass the target number of a skill test, you score a critical success. J-Man is joining us tonight. Thanks for popping on in again. So here's our character creation. So you've got 24 attribute points. What are our attributes? What do we got here? Does not say. I'm sure we'll get into it, but I thought maybe we'd see where it says, oh, it's, so it says refer to the attributes chapter as needed. Wonder if we've got our traditionals. Calculate your derived attributes. Gain adjustment points. So you get 2 adjustment points from the adjustment points chapter for your character. You roll up a background, you pick an archetype, pick your talents and complications, allocate your skill points, gain spells. Looks like there's going to be quite a bit to creating a character here, which is fine. All right. Our races are the Beastmen, Ape Beastmen, Wolf Beastmen, Iguana Beastmen, and Ram Beastmen. I would take a guess you could probably do your own, create your own. The Illyrians, which we already know are elves, I believe. Got our goblins, hobgoblin, humans, mutants, and synths. So we have artificial beings that were made long ago, and scholars still argue as to whether they were created before or after the last Great War. To further complicate things, both Illyrians and humans claim to have been these synths makers. Either way, one thing is clear. The synths are fully functional, creator-independent, artificial life. Here's our attributes. Strength, health, reflexes, willpower, charisma, intelligence, luck, and aura. Kevin R. Smith said they were about to say the target numbers look more like 2d6, but it seems more complicated than that. Yeah. So it looks like we've got a dice pool aspect to it. So the higher your skill, the more dice you're going to have. You're also going to have different dice. And then probably you've got your bonus for what your attribute is. So have a bonus modifier. So here we've got damage bonuses. So here we're showing strength 1 through 9. So I guess those 24 points you're going to break up are going to be your bonuses. Talking about saving throws. I'll say this looks pretty unique. This might be kind of everything in the kitchen sink, but this does look pretty unique. And I got to be honest, I like the layout. I could probably do without that font, but I get it. It's pirates. That's cool. So got background. Grew up in the wild. Grew up in a barbarian clan. This is cool. We get some tables to give you some various different background situations. Grew up in a village, grew up in a small town, grew up in a garrison, grew up in a city. So you could be peasants, beggars, artisans, tavern workers, merchants, city officials, criminals, soldiers, and minor nobility or courtiers. And city childhood events such as child labor, taught to cook by a grandparent, mentored by a friendly thief. Then we have city adolescence, things like found a weapon of unique quality in a secondhand store, taken by foreign slavers. That'd be a bummer. And then city adulthood, successful first adventure, obtained a good weapon, had a serious injury. They got robbed. I was robbed. And we have grew up in a castle. Well, here we're probably gonna have a lot more goodies than somebody who, it says, grew up in a village. We also have slaves and indentured servants. General talents. Some examples here: advanced thinker, ambidextrous, fast draw, fast healer, lucky bastard. Somebody likes the word bastard a lot. Come on. Can't we bust out son of a bitch somewhere? Does it always have to be bastard? No mother? No. Joking. All right. So let's find out. What is the lucky bastard? Some people can never seem to catch a break. You, on the other hand, could probably make a living playing roulette. At any time, you may spend a luck point to roll an extra dice on any skill roll or damage roll. Rather than keep one dice, wouldn't it be die? I know, sometimes when I'm going through in a first look, I catch like bad grammar or, a misspelled word or something. I know I'm always like, hey, shouldn't that be? I don't know. I'm not necessarily a grammar Nazi, but. So you get to spend a luck point to roll an extra die on any skill roll or damage roll. Rather than keep one die, you keep 2 dice of your choosing. Furthermore, once per combat, you may force an enemy to reroll either their attack or their damage. Got rank and status. So if you want to be like a knight or a baron, you could. It's going to cost you a lot of points. Then we got some complications here, such like bad reputation, branded, debt, enemy, one eye, poor perception, psychosis. I'd say that's not going to be good. I'm going to take a guess you earn points. Or maybe you have to take one. It's a possibility. Here's our archetypes. So we've got the barbarian. We've got the bard. Got cavalry, courtier, duelist, hunter, mystic, noble. I like that art. That's pretty cool. Makes me think of Captain Nemo. I mean, how Captain Nemo's supposed to look. Not the Disney version, not the James Mason version, which is, I actually like that movie, but we got pirate, priest, sailor, science mage. Okay, science mages are curators and scholars dedicated to harnessing the fickle powers of ancient technology. This is sometimes boring work and sometimes terminally exciting, and science mages run the gamut from reedy librarians to strapping explorers. In addition to their selection of archetype talents, science mages may learn spells. Well. So they get ancient tech access. They get they have energy batteries, so that gives them +2 energy per depletion level. Energy miser, so they are efficient at spell casting. Extra studying, so you get 6 more skill points. They get a familiar. Scholarly mind. Twice per game session, you may gain -3 on your target number on a single academic task. And they can siphon. You gain +1 to your energy recovery rate. And if anyone spends energy within charisma time 3 yards of you, they must spend an extra point, which goes to you. Wow. Pete Strakowitz says, I do tend to give credit to games that attempt to introduce a new system, as opposed to those who just reskin the D20 system and act like they've reinvented the entire world. I agree. I 100% agree with you. And a lot of times we'll encounter role-playing games where the designers have gone with the philosophy of, making it a rules light game. But making it a rules light game doesn't necessarily mean that it's just a simple game. And then in the opposite direction, when creators look to add more detail, add more crunch to their mechanics, that doesn't necessarily mean that the game is going to be too complex. Speaking of complex, Tessie Trekkie says, this sounds like an interesting but complex system. A lot of moving parts. Well, so far we know we've got target numbers. And, the reality here, once again, keep in mind, this is the first look. I have not read this. This is the first time I'm cracking this open. But as far as like the special abilities for the archetypes, it's not like it's overwhelming, because think about it. A lot of games, they're going to give you, okay, well, at this level, you get these feats, and then you get these feats, and then at this level, here's these feats. This just looks like this is giving it to you all at once, that these are just special things that are, part of your archetype. So not necessarily something, well, okay, so I will say, depending on the players you have at your table, because those of you who are game masters watching, that the vibe at your table is completely different when you have players who know what their character's abilities are, as opposed to having players who need the game master to tell them constantly what the ability of their characters are. So we got some spells here. Looks like we've got spells based on deities, factions possibly. Like spells of Prometheus, spells of the Legion of the Night. Ooh, I think that's probably scary, kid, scary. Become Shadow, costs 9 energy, duration once, one scene. I'm guessing it's one scene. Range self, notes, your body and equipment become shadowy. You can no longer be affected by non-magical damage. You can also no longer interact physically with the world around you, and you gain -3 target number to stealth. And you can slip under doors or through cracks in walls. You may end this effect whenever you wish by spending an action. The character cannot use other spells while in this form. Yeah, this line that runs through it, it's having a little difficult reading the text, a little difficulty reading the text. Yeah, this does look cool. But yeah, I will agree with Tessie Trekkie that this does look like it's got some complexity to it. So it could be complexity that adds to the experience, or it could be complexity that makes the game clunky. We'll find out. I plan on reviewing this. Tessie Trekkie says, to be fair, Dolmenwood and Mythic Bastion Land are about my sweet spot these days. Stay tuned. This weekend, I should have my review for Dolmenwood's Player's Book. Fingers crossed. As I started to mention before we got into this first look, and I kind of got off topic talking about, all the negativity that's out there. Yeah, I was doing a wargaming week, and then I was going to try to shoot some video today, a couple of unboxings for some war games. And then I saw that comment today where it's like, what a waste of time this video was. And it just put me in a mood like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go shoot the video. So, I know I shouldn't let it bother me, but yeah, it just seems like there's just more and more negativity. And a lot of times it's just people who are like, oh, this review sucked. Well, it's not a review. It's a first look. It says right here, Jeff takes a first look at this. It's like, oh man, this guy blows. He didn't know anything about it in this review. It's not a review. Did I not say hello to Stray Kismet? Hello, Stray Kismet. So, J-Man says, not sure if you reviewed it, but Fall of Delta Green has a very unique system that handles complexity well. Yes, I have reviewed Fall of Delta Green. In fact, if I recall correctly, it is one of the few games that you actually have two reviews from the Gaming Gang. There is one by Sammy. That was the first one. And then 3 years later, I got a copy of it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to because obviously Sammy's reviews are written. I said, I am going to share a video review. And yes, really good. I mean, I don't want people at like Art Green Publishing to like burn me in effigy, but I actually like Fall of Delta Green mechanically better than Delta Green, which is weird because Delta Green is percentile, so is Call of Cthulhu. Yeah. And weirdly, I wouldn't use the Fall of Delta Green mechanics for Call of Cthulhu. Yeah, there you go. Kevin R. Smith says, I believe I reviewed the Dolmenwood books a week or two ago. Uh-huh. Yeah. Those were first look videos. Thanks, Kevin. Never Fate is with us. Says, hey, if they're smart enough to figure it out, don't let it get you down. Sadly enough, I don't know if a lot of people are smart enough to figure it out. I think that's, like I said, that's the other thing. Sadly, is it just seems like people are getting stupider. Not everybody, thank God. But yeah, the bar gets lower and lower all the time. So yes, Kevin's a little like, don't. Yeah, I knew you were messing. Okay, so we got orders and guilds. So you can belong to an order or a guild, and it looks like you get a package. Yay, I got a package here. So barbarian clans, so like the Bear clan, and then you get a basic package, and then you get disadvantage. So beyond the Daracene holds, clan members are treated as less than peasants. They suffer +1 target number to peaceful social interactions outside the holds. It seems like a -3 or a +3 is a big deal. Then we have the Clouded Eye clan. So these are barbarian clans. We have bardic venues. The Illyrian Opera Company. Kevin Hurt Smith says, I knew I'd see some Dolmenwood content from you, just couldn't remember which it was. Yeah, they were just the first looks. Never Fate says, I think there's a lack of media literacy. I'll agree with you on that as well. Drives me nuts. I'll sit there, I'll read an article. It could be from, Washington Post. And it's like bad grammar, misspelled, sentence cuts off in the middle of nowhere. And it's like, seriously, you don't have an editor at all? No one looks at this shit? But that's how it is nowadays. Everybody's looking to get their content out there first. So let's not fact check anything. And then, of course, on top of that, we won't even look at the article. I'll see stuff where, words in the title of the article are misspelled. And it's like, oh, for God's sake. I make sure I don't have those sort of mistakes in articles on my website. How in the world are websites like CNN, just throwing stuff up there? Yeah. It's the world we live in, kids. All right, so these are different bardic venues, cavalry stables. So it looks like each of the archetypes is going to get the opportunity to belong to an order or a clan. So here, I'm taking a guess. Well, okay, we'll take a look at the Mystics. Cosmic Library, a monastic order of astronomers. The Cosmic Library see themselves as caretakers and curators of arcane knowledge. While they do primarily study the movement of the stars, they do so for occult reasons, to divine the future. They rarely apply methodologies to tea leaves, entrails, and dropped bones. The Cosmic Library is willing to take on any eager, capable student, but studying with them is often frustrating. The library doesn't have solutions to the world's greatest mysteries, only ever inward turning spirals of questions. I do not like the background on these pages. Makes it a little more difficult for you to read in certain spots. And it's not a deal breaker, but I don't know if it's kind of showing up in the video, but like areas like this, just trying to read it at a glance, not that easy. All right, so we're still looking at the orders and guilds and factions and such. And what are we at now? I guess mutant abilities. I gotta be honest, I'm curious about this backstory to this, the setting. Animal companions and familiars. Here's our equipment. Melee weapons. So it looks like our damage is kind of standard, like we would normally see in like a D20 sort of role-playing game. Like a knife dagger does 1d6 plus 1 plus your damage bonus. What do we got? Where's our long sword? Well, we got cutlass 1d10 plus 1 plus damage bonus. Broadsword 1d10 plus 2 plus your damage bonus. Bastard sword can be used one-handed or two-handed. That's why they called it a hand and a half. Kevin R. Smith says, they've always heard that newspaper editors are often looking for potentially libelous material more than they're looking for spelling or grammar mistakes. Maybe that's how things are now. but editors would use the red pen, right? Strike through stuff, all these other, I'm guessing, yes, editors nowadays are more like, yeah, okay, so we're looking for stuff that either somebody's going to try to sue us over, or we're going to get a bunch of trolls burning us down. So we got our ships of the sea. So we got 5 different hull sizes, ship weapons, cannons. We got torpedoes. Some basic ship templates. So like a schooner has base cannons each side. A broadside has 1 row, 7 cannons, 14 total for the ship. Firepower 1, armed with light cannons. We have galleon. We've got the goblin whale. Huh. All right, so now we get into combat. So it talks about combat scenes. A scene is any period that the players spend in the same location or working on the same problem. A scene might be drinking in a dockside tavern or sneaking into a lord's manor house or getting mugged in an alleyway. The GM will announce when an old scene ends and a new scene begins. And scene. Madman says we're living in an idiocracy. Yeah, we're getting there, aren't we? Turns and rounds. So we've got initiative. It's 1d8 plus their reflexes. Same is true for major NPCs, lieutenants, and masterminds. So it looks like we've got some like NPCs, which are mooks. Maybe we've got some that are kind of like swarms. Make it easier for you to take them down. So we have brawling, ranged attacks, 2 weapon attacks, dodge attempts, parrying, mounted combat. So we've got a variety of different aspects, but it also looks like, you know, it's not like page after page is devoted to like grappling. Though that looks like a good amount of page space devoted to it compared to like other things like parrying. So we have hit locations and called shots. Whenever a character takes damage, roll D100 on the hit chart to see where they were damaged. Okay. So here are all the hit locations from your brain to your eyes to your head, heart, groin, kidney. If you want to do a called shot to the head, it's +3 to your target number. This is information about what happens when you do hit somebody. They're like, okay, so eyes. In addition to treating this as a hit to the head, the target rolls a tough TN12 health saving throw. If they fail, the eye is lost for good and until replaced with a prosthetic or repaired by magic. Boarding parties. We get naval attacks. I would think we would have something devoted to naval combat, seeing that Pirates of a Shattered World. So you might get into a bestiary here with our adversaries. Thugs only. Cockroaches. Sometimes your opponent just will not die. When you activate this ability, you add a pack of 2d3 new thugs to a fight. Adding these new thugs does not allow them to call for more thugs with this. You may use this ability once per scene. So I guess the Game Master gets abilities that they can use. Yeah, adversary abilities. Automatic hit. Maximum damage, buying down damage. I'm guessing they probably have to spend energy to do so. Okay, so now we're going to get into our bestiary. I believe that's going to be a sea sturg. An alien-looking marine bug the size of a cat the average Sturg has a surprisingly iridescent shell with hues that range from light pink to gentle aqua blue. Unfortunately, Sturgs are a bane for marine travelers. They often travel in large swarms and will board passing ships to take blood from the crew. Dun, dun, dun. Steel Golem. The Plague Knights. It's 2 pages. Well. I take a guess that probably a fairly big bad. So here we got a section about game mastering. Get to know your audience. Talking about villains, NPCs, cinematic combat. And we get a short introductory adventure, The Orb. Now that is short. Hey, at least we got an adventure. A lot of times we don't get any starting adventure. Looks like here's our character advancement, gaining experience. I think we got some pre-gens. Yep, we do. Captain Harwood. Kerchak, the ape beast man. Lord Ravi Amar. Oh, you mean Captain Nemo? Lucia, who actually using this artwork for our thumbnail for tonight's video. All right. But they're a bard, right? Yep, they are. They are a bard. Then we get a character sheet. We get a map. Do we get an index? No, we do not. Wasteland Sagas, that's the other role-playing game that we are going to take a peek at from the Polyhedral Knights. All right, so that is a look inside Pirates of a Shattered World from the aforementioned, the Polyhedral Knights. Once again, this is available in hardcover. It carries an MSRP over at the Polyhedral Knights website of $47.99. I do not believe it is available in PDF, only in hardcover. And of course, I will have a review of Pirates of a Shattered World in the not too distant future. Sweet. I gotta say, there were some things in there as we were flipping on through. I'm like, that looks interesting. But as Tessie Trekkie pointed out, does look like there are some complexities to this, that it's not just going to be some dice pool system. But you never know. Some of those complexities might fit in very nicely. We'll find out. Like I said, I'll have a review of it. Probably not before the first of the year, but I would think not too long after that. All right. So if you're curious about what's going on next week, I think, I haven't decided for certain yet, but I think on Tuesday's show, we're going to take a look at Castles and Crusades Codex Exultum from my friends over at Bloat Games. I think we'll dive in and take a peek. Of course, it also has a companion book. Maybe we'll look at that the week after. And that is Codex Infernum. All right, that is it for this time out. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, tip of the cap to you. You get a much bigger thank you, because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company as I'm sharing the news or flipping on through a book or unboxing a game or what have you. Now, of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. It really does mean a lot to me. It truly does. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening. Enjoy the rest of the week. Have a great weekend. If you're in the U.S. in an area which is going to get hammered by terrible weather or cold weather, like we are going to here in the Chicago area, be careful out there. If you don't have to leave the house, don't leave the house. Plan ahead. It's like, oh, well, there's a storm blowing through. Go get extra groceries. You know, do yourself a favor and do other people a favor too by not being out on the roads. Way too many stories on the news of all these pileups all over the place. Got to know how to drive in inclement weather, and watch out for people who don't know how to drive in inclement weather. So anyway, like I said, stay warm, stay safe. That way I get to see you on Tuesday. All right, everybody. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. And of course, if you like the video, give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it's supposed to not only let you know when I stream the Dispatch live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It's also supposed to let you know when I share other videos, such as the Waste of Time first look at what the hell is it? A very civil, I almost said very simple, a very civil whist from Phalanx Games. Well, at least Phalanx liked the video, so that counts. Yes. All right, everybody. What a waste of my time. It's like, this review sucked. It's not a review. Okay, so like I said, enjoy the rest of the week. Stay warm, stay out of the cold. And of course, hopefully I will see you next week. And until then, as always, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.